The Louie T Network is powered by MusicHead University. MusicHeads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to the Command Post Live. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I, of course, am your Commander-in-Chief, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Hiya, pals. Lot going on today, huh? This kind of feels like home. Feels very reminiscent of what we used to be, doesn't it? I'm here to tell you things aren't as they appear, okay? So relax, R-E-L-A-X, relax. Woosah. I took a nice nap today, expecting to wake up to a couple more interviews from other teams around the league. Maybe another firing. Mike McDaniel could be out in Miami, something along those lines. Nothing Commanders related, though. Maybe we are in the market, right? Maybe we're interviewing somebody. Hey, yeah. And I woke up to another smear campaign, another smut piece on the Commanders. And I'm not going to lie to you. We are a fan base that is still recovering from PTSD. We have a lot of triggers. This past regular season was a trigger. And so for a lot of fans, the shit that's going on right now, it's very triggering. I get it. I totally get it. See, what people don't understand, if you're not a part of this shit, if you're not a part of this fan base, you will never understand what it's like to be a Commanders fan. It don't take much until somebody actually comes in here and frees us from the bondage of over 20 years of abuse. It doesn't take much. We went from just a year ago. Nobody don't know nothing outside of this building. I'm going to tell you where all of this shit started. The origin of this started with that Terry bullshit. That's how Jordan Schultz seeped his way into our facility. And really, he wasn't inside the building. And his ass still ain't in the goddamn building. We're going to start treating Jordan Schultz. We're going to start treating his ass like we do Diana Rossini. He might be worse, okay? And I tried to get his ass to come on my show and talk about some shit. And he big time me. Oh, I ain't got time. Circle back. It's all good. I don't even think I want him to come on here because it might get contentious and Mr. Starbucks might want to try to get the fisticuffs. Right? Anyway, I digress. We're going to remove that from the equation. It doesn't take much for this fan base to feel like we're back to where we used to be. And the fact that just a year ago, you couldn't get anything out of our building that we didn't want out of our building. And now it feels like it's a new report every day. Yeah, it takes you back to the Snyder era. I'm not going to front. I'm not going to hold you. Here's what's different. These quote unquote rumors and leaks, they're not coming from inside the building. No. It's always on some high school backdoor bullshit. Scorned ex out trying to get revenge. Revenge. We're going to talk about all of that. Can we talk about some ball for a second, though? Can we do that first before we get to all of the crazy drama nonsense? Can we get to some ball first? Can we do that? I want to do that. Let's do that first. All right, so Commanders, let's just house cleaning. We're going to call this house cleaning real quick. Commanders have signed tight end Lawrence Cager to a futures contract. So at his press conference, Adam Peters mentioned Lawrence Cager. This is Edge Boy, by the way. So, hey, I'll say this. Lawrence Cager does not have a tight end body. Maybe he can grow into one, right? Like the last time we saw this dude in the preseason, he looked like he was every bit of 225. Like you can't be a tight end in this league at 225. No one's going to take you seriously as a tight end at 225. So maybe he bulks up somehow and ends up at 240. Now we can talk. 238, somewhere in that neighborhood. But what he clearly offers, and he reminds me a lot of Darren Waller. What he clearly offers is a former wide receiver that wasn't fast enough to cut it as a wide receiver, turn tight end that could be a mismatch as a tight end if he can figure it out. I won't bet and bank on him figuring it out, but we saw it in the preseason. He ran away from defenders. It made plays again, backups. I get it, but still, something to just store away in the memory bank. Lawrence Cager will be with this team over the spring and into the summer, and we'll see if he can manifest himself into something. Let's see if he can reshape his body and become an actual conversation that we're having about a tight end trying to crack this roster. All right? Because I don't think they're going to do anything outside of the tight end room that we currently have. I'm just going to go ahead and put that out there so that you're not looking for one of these shiny, nice objects. And like Rio said, it could be a guy, but it'll be somebody that's on the low end of the spectrum that's really not going to come in here like a Tyler Conklin. And I actually like Tyler Conklin. We were making jokes and laughing and making a funny last night, but I like Tyler Conklin. But he's not a needle mover. He's not what you're interested in. He's not Isaiah Likely. He's not Kyle Pitts. You're not going to be overly enthused by a Tyler Conklin signing. I don't think they're going to do anything anyway, to be honest. But we'll see. It may be one of those low-level signings. It may not be. We may get surprised. Next order of business. The Commanders continue with futures contracts. They have signed Tyler Cooper, a guard. And this is the one that I'm really excited about. Wide receiver Nick Nash. Now, most of you have no idea who the hell Nick Nash is. The only reason that I know is because I'm a draft junkie. When it comes to the draft, like I dive in really hard. I don't want to talk draft all regular season because I'm not interested in the draft until it's time to talk draft. But once it's time to talk draft, I turn into a nerd and I dive in. And Nick Nash was about a receiver about maybe 3 years ago out of San Jose State, 6'3", had some speed, could go up and high point the football. I really liked Nick Nash. I don't remember where he got drafted. I think it was like in the 5th round by some team. I think it was the Atlanta Falcons, as a matter of fact. Don't quote me on that. You'd have to Google him and see where he got drafted. I didn't. I just remember, I think it was like the 5th or 6th round. And I just thought, man, this kid's going to be really good in this league, I think. I thought he could be like a Puka Nacua type. This hidden gem. He was a late bloomer to the receiver position, but he had all the measurables. I'm interested. I'm intrigued by Nick Nash. I'm not telling you he's going to turn into anything. I'm not telling you that he's going to become some, preseason phenom for this team. I'm just telling you, he's a guy to look out for, like, as a developmental guy, right? A guy that could potentially come in here and you say, who the hell is 83? Or, well, we already got an 83, but that's the number he wore in college, if I'm not mistaken. You go, who the hell is 84? And you go, I don't know, but he keep making plays. That could be Nick Nash this summer. That's all. All right. But I like Nick Nash. I liked him coming out at least. It's not that dissimilar from a player in the NBA that you really loved in high school. His college career didn't turn out all that great. And he gets to the NBA and he hasn't really figured it out. But you remember that kid from high school and you're like, hey, if he becomes available, I'd like to take a shot at him to see if I can get that kid that I saw in high school to rekindle the talent that I saw. That's how I feel about Nick Nash. I remember Nick Nash from San Jose State, and I'm like, hey, maybe, just maybe, we could tap into what he was coming into the league. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, I digress. All right, let's get to the order of business now. All right. Commanders have requested an interview with Raiders defensive coordinator Patrick Graham for their defensive coordinator job, per a source. So we've heard this bandied about today that the Commanders have interviewed or have requested an interview with Patrick Graham. I am not the biggest Patrick Graham fan. Again, I don't think we're going to be overly excited about the move that they make ultimately at defensive coordinator. I think we've talked about this already, though. I don't think the coordinator move is defensive coordinator rather move is going to make everybody feel warm and fuzzy. I think me and Rio kind of spoke about that yesterday, that hire isn't going to be one that comes with a ton of fanfare, because we think he's going to do something comfortable. Patrick Graham feels comfortable. No, I did not forget that Michael Dieter got released. I don't care. I don't need to talk about Michael Dieter didn't exist in my mind after 2024. Thanks for making me right, Jaden. So he didn't even exist in my mind. So them telling me that he was released from the practice squad, you won't never hear, bro. Out of sight, out of mind. I never had to see number 60 on the field this year. So we don't speak of Michael Dieter. Anyway, I digress. Patrick Graham is a basic NFL defensive coordinator. I didn't think he did a terrible job with the Raiders, but he didn't do a great job. I didn't think he did a terrible job in New York with the Giants, but he didn't do a great job. Like, Patrick Graham is solid. He doesn't move the needle. He's not a guy that's going to get you excited. But again, this is where we're at with the defensive coordinator situation. John Keim, I don't know if you guys saw the article that John Keim wrote for. It wasn't an article. He had it was a part of ESPN Nation thing where all 32 teams are represented by the person that follows the team for ESPN, and they just wrote a little quick paragraph roughly about their current situation, where they are as we go into Wild Card Weekend, basically. And John Keim wrote for ESPN that the rumor circulating the league, and I mean, we've been talking about it here, so I mean, I don't think it's that far-fetched, that Raheem Morris, people are just connecting dots. It's no different than when Ronald Rivera got here, and the first thing everybody said is, oh, go get Cam Newton. Why? Because it's easy. It's low-hanging fruit. You just connect the dots. Relationships, etc. So it's the same reason why we keep saying Mike McDaniel, because it's easy to connect the dots. But it's hard to get to that point when he still has a job. I'm talking about Mike McDaniel has a job, and he's looking to be a head coach. He's not looking to be an offensive coordinator. So Patrick Graham, a basic defensive coordinator, if you ask me, not going to move the needle. Not going to be somebody you get super excited about. He isn't a blitz-heavy defensive coordinator. Plays a lot of coverage, rushes and plays a lot of coverage. Again, you can do worse than Patrick Graham. He's not. I don't hate Patrick Graham as a defensive coordinator. I don't love him either. I feel very similar to the way I feel about Raheem Morris, and that's what Keim wrote in his paragraph. That basically, the word out on the street is that the Commanders are potentially interested in reuniting with Raheem Morris, and potentially Jeff Albrecht would be coming with him, and or Jeff Albrecht, right? One or the other. Because Albrecht was Raheem Morris's defensive coordinator in Atlanta this year. So I wouldn't have an issue with either one of those dudes. I wouldn't have an issue with Patrick Graham. I don't love any of them, though. I don't love any of them, but I don't hate them. You know what I mean? But I already have wired my brain to think that this defensive coordinator hire isn't going to inspire like a huge confidence boost for me. It is what it is. I'm more so focused on the offensive coordinator hire and what is done there, because we know that this team is only going to go as far as the offense takes them. We want that to change. We want the defense to be a part of the party. But until they actually are, until real moves are made from a personnel standpoint and, real changes look like they could be on the horizon, I just got to assume that the catalyst that's going to drive this vehicle is offense. And our best player is our quarterback, which is a good thing. And we got to make sure that that side of the ball is where we need it to be in order for this thing to go the way we need it to go. So I'm way more intrigued by the offensive coordinator hire, but I'm still focused on the defensive coordinator, but I just expect it to be ho-hum. Patrick Graham is ho-hum. But again, we'll see. If I didn't know any better, I would say he's the minority Rooney Rule interview, right? But if you are going after Raheem Morris, you don't need to do that, right? Maybe they're not going after Raheem Morris and Patrick Graham serves as their minority candidate. I don't even know. Do you have to do that for coordinators? Do you have to interview a minority? I don't know if you have to do that for coordinators. May not have to do that for coordinators. May only have to do that for head coaching positions. Don't quote me on that. I'm not really sure. Either way, I think they're just getting started in the interviewing process. So we'll see what happens. And then this is what you probably all came for. The smut piece from earlier today. And I'm going to read you the Bleacher Report report that came out. It really was just kind of piggybacking off of this. I'm going to read you that as well. Because, as you know, Jordan Schultz works for Fox. And then we got the Diana Russini thing, which kind of ties into this. She works for The Athletic. So let's dive in. Let's talk about it. So Jordan Schultz had the report yesterday that players weren't happy, including Jaden Daniels, about the firing of Cliff Kingsbury, and that, quote, the players thought that the only way that Cliff would not be here is if he was hired as a head coach somewhere else. Okay, fine. So today, Jordan Schultz put out a report. It says, sources, part of the issue the Commanders have had in the building is the front office meddling with the coaching staff on personnel and which players to use. An ongoing problem dating back to 2024 when they were having success. With the team struggling this year, it reached new heights and there were notable disagreements. Moreover, I have not gotten the impression Dan Quinn wanted to move on, from his coordinators. The entire disconnect is one to watch as we head into 2026. Quote, there's a lot of shit going on there, close quote, a source said. So now that takes us to this Bleacher Report quick hit that we're going to kind of base our conversation off of today. So this Bleacher Report article is titled, Commanders reportedly have a lot of shit going on. Internal issues leaked. The Washington Commanders have made significant changes to their coaching staff this week, and it appears that there was a deeper issue plaguing the franchise throughout the season. NFL insider Jordan Schultz detailed the disconnect between the Commanders front office and the coaching staff, with one source saying, quote, there's a lot of shit going on there, close quote, with a source. Okay, we'll get to that source here in a bit. The Washington Commanders made significant changes, Schultz explains that the issue in the front office, quote unquote, or quote, meddling with the coaching staff on personnel and which players to use, close quote, has been an, quote, ongoing problem dating back to 2024, close quote, when the Commanders made a surprising run to the NFC Championship game. This season, the issue, quote, reached new heights, close quote, as Washington disappointingly finished with a 5-12 record with quote, notable disagreements, close quote. according to Schultz. Offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury, I'm going to put my own quotes here, air quotes, mutually agreed, close quote, to part ways with the team on Tuesday, and defensive coordinator Joe Witt Jr. was fired. To make matters more problematic, Schultz reported, quote, "I have not gotten the impression Dan Quinn wanted to move on from his coordinators," close quote. The Commanders' struggles on the field were due in part to the absence of star quarterback Jaden Daniels, who was limited to just 7 games due to his various injuries after his Offensive Rookie of the Year campaign last season. Washington also had one of the worst defenses in the NFL, ranking last in the league with 384 yards per game allowed. Based on Schultz reporting, it appears that the Commanders are dealing with some internal strife that won't easily be fixed. Washington will have a lot of questions to answer before ensuring that the organization is aligned with its goals moving forward. All right, so let's talk. So apparently we have internal strife. This is why I told you guys maybe around November, when we were in the midst of that nasty losing streak and we were getting our backs kicked in every week, I said, I hate losing. And this is why I hate losing. Because with losing come vultures. Jordan Schultz is nothing more than a vulture. And while his reporting isn't entirely inaccurate, it's sensationalized for clicks. He wants exactly what I'm doing here, and the only reason I'm giving him what he wants is because I have to talk to you guys about it. Because some of you, and I'm not all of you, some of you buy this stuff hook, line, and sinker, and you run with it. And obviously, there are people waiting for our demise. They loved what happened this past season. They got their popcorn out. They're sitting in front of their television, their mobile device, their tablets, and they're eating all of this shit up. Eagles fans love it. Giants fans love it. Cowboys fans love it because it ain't them. And they want to see us fall flat on our face because they know we're the biggest threat in this division. It ain't Dallas. It ain't the Giants. It's us. So everybody wants to see us fail. And so we can't perpetuate this narrative and give this shit legs. Because that's what they want. They want to see us back where we were 3 years ago. Back where we were under the regime of Snyder. They want to see us back there again. The Diana Rossini report, this report from Jordan Schultz, none of this came from inside of the building. But there is some validity to it. There was a disconnect. Clearly, there was a disconnect within the building. Was the front office pushing personnel on the coordinator? Maybe. Maybe. But you know who this is all coming from, right? Just like we know where Jordan Schultz got all the Terry information from, right? We do know where all of this comes from, right? It's coming from the agent of the scorned individual. That's why you got to be careful with this shit. We talked about this with the Terry situation. All of that information Jordan Schultz was getting was coming from Terry's agent. All of the information Jordan Schultz is getting right now is coming from Cliff's agent. It's not hard to connect the dots. There's no leak inside of that building. We didn't all of a sudden go from an airtight building that we didn't even know we signed Michael Davis until we saw him talking to us with his media availability. We didn't even know he was on the team. We didn't go from that to all of a sudden Jordan Schultz and Diana Rossini have access to people inside of our building. This is not the Snyder era, folks. I just want to make that abundantly clear. We have not turned the clock back. This is not the dysfunction that everybody wants to portray it and perpetuate it to be. We got some shit going on. You know who else has some shit going on right now? The rest of the NFL. Have you ever seen the NFL in this perilous of a state? The Chiefs aren't in the playoffs. The Ravens just fired, a potential Hall of Fame head coach. You've got seven now teams looking for a new head coach. You got teams like Miami, Pittsburgh, potentially Buffalo, mulling over getting rid of their head coaches. We could get up to 10 vacancies potentially by next week, depending on how things go in the playoffs. Somebody said to me yesterday, ascending teams don't fire both of their coordinators. You're not necessarily wrong, but the Lions just fired John Morton after 1 year. People are searching for answers league-wide. Shit is crazy. It's chaos everywhere. Nobody's safe. We're not the only ones. Every team in the NFC East fired their defensive coordinator except the Philadelphia Eagles. It's mass hysteria everywhere. So we're not going to single out the Commanders like all of a sudden we're just the problem child and, oh my God, it's back to what it used to be. Nah, it's not that. And I'm not going to allow that narrative to grow legs and take off running. Not over here, at least. Cliff's agent is out here spewing venom because his client got released, mutually parting ways. Excuse me, let me say it the way that they put it out there. Mutually agreed to part ways. Cliff got fired, man. They want Jaden under center. They want a more pro-style offense, and Cliff isn't going to acquiesce, so he got fired. He's pissed off. He's trying, and look, I'm not mad at Cliff because, look, the team did you a solid. They could have just said you were fired, bro. They did you a solid. They didn't sully your name, but yet Cliff is trying to get a head coaching job, so now his agent's got to spin this shit. Hey, don't look over here at my client who just got released. Look over here at the organization. They got this dysfunction going on. My client had to get out of there. Bullshiggity, okay? Bullshiggity. Your client is the same guy that couldn't cut it in Arizona, and your client is not a head coach. Let's be real. Your client is not a head coach. And this ain't a Cliff Kingsbury bashing session. I wanted him back here. I wanted Cliff back. But clearly, there were lines of communication that were crossed. And there weren't going to be any way to repair some of the damage that had been done. And that's cool. There are a lot of questions being asked right now that we simply don't have the answers to. And I told y'all my biggest fear this offseason was the unknown. That's the thing that scared me the most. Not what coordinators they're going to hire or what players they're going to bring in or what they're going to do in the draft. None of that is of a concern at all for me. My biggest concern is the unknown because of shit like this. When you don't know, things like this are allowed to rear its ugly head. And you start to have these types of issues crop up. And it's a damn shame that we're here having this conversation because we should be excited about what they're going to do with these two coordinator positions, how they're going to fill the offensive line coach vacancy. We should be excited about free agency and looking towards the draft. And instead, we're talking about internal strife that doesn't actually exist. DQ and Adam Peters are like this. I can't give you the game. Like, you see how these guys, like, they're not putting on a facade. He being Adam Peters, went out and handpicked Dan Quinn as the guy that he was going to be joined at the hip with. He came from San Francisco and saw the model with John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, and he wants that for himself. He went out and got Dan Quinn, and he feels like that's the guy that's going to give him that type of relationship and that type of success. They talk almost every single day. There's no strife between those two. The strife was Cliff Kingsbury, which is why he's not here. The issue was with Cliff Kingsbury, which is why he's not here. And again, they knew who they were hiring when they hired him. I am not upset at Cliff. Cliff didn't do anything wrong. You knew what you were signing up for, and you signed up for it anyway. And when you got it, you didn't like what you got. You can't be mad at that. But you can, and you do have the right to make a decision to move on from a guy that you might have made a mistake hiring in the first place. And that's okay. Mistakes happen. Mistakes happen. What I don't like is on the way out, your agent trying to start a smear campaign on the organization because your client is no longer here. That's the bullshit that I have a problem with. That's where I draw the line. Get out of here with that high school bullshit. Because the shit don't affect me. It's the fans out there that don't know that it's not true. That's the shit. That's where the lines become blurred and it becomes a problem. This is a fan base with real PTSD. Real PTSD. You can't put shit out there and some of these fans not gonna eat it up and feel like, oh shit, here we go again. We had some of that yesterday after they fired 2 coordinators. Yeah, some of the fan base like, oh my God, I don't know. This doesn't feel good. Feels like we're right back where we want. This is a fan base still healing. And the 2025 regular season, for all of the good that 2024 did, and I mean, there was so much good 2024. It almost healed an entire fan base. They just needed to do it one more time. They just needed to prove to us that 24 wasn't a fluke, and we would have felt like, oh my God, we've been rescued. They found us. We're no longer in the woods screaming, can anybody hear us? Hear us, hear us. Help, help, help. Down here, here. We actually thought we were saved. And then 2025 happened. And we felt like we were alone once again in the woods, cold, alone, and afraid. And they had a chance to make us feel warm and safe. And instead, we were cold and alone again. And then you have this offseason get off to this start. And there are a lot of fans that are like, bro, this is feeling like home again. And not in a good way. Foster home, not a home. This is feeling like we back in the foster home again. Bad memories. I don't want to go back there. We good, man. I'm telling y'all, we good. I don't know if DQ is good, okay? I'm just talking about the organization as a whole. Organizationally, we're fine. We're fine. There's no disconnect between Adam Peters and Dan Quinn. The whole notion that Dan Quinn didn't want to get rid of his coordinators. What? Joe Witt Jr. was awful. Now, whether or not Dan Quinn actually wanted to fire him, that's a real conversation. That's his boy. He probably would have much rather. I told you what I thought he was going to do. I thought he was going to reassign him, make him a DB's coach. Hell, you don't want to fire Tommy Donatel. Poor Tommy Donatel. Poor Tommy Donatel. I'm always trying to get rid of Tommy Donatel. Poor Tommy Donatel. Shout out to Tommy Donatel, man. He ain't did nothing to nobody, and them boys got him. He could have made him an assistant defensive backs coach then. Go over there with William Gay. You help that room and give him a job. That's what we do. That's what they do in the NFL. They give their boys jobs and fake titles so they can be on the staff getting a check. Maybe he wanted to do that for Joe Witt, and AP was like, nah, bro. Hey, ownership ain't trying to pay somebody that ain't doing shit for real. He got to go. Okay, fine. Technically, he didn't want to get rid of his boy, but he wasn't going to be the defensive coordinator. We knew that. His title and his job had already been stripped from him basically after the game against Seattle or Detroit, excuse me, when he came down on the field from the box. They tried everything. And obviously we see that there was a disconnect between Cliff and, you know, philosophically how they want to conduct business with Jaden. So that whole report of, oh, Dan Quinn didn't want to get rid of his coordinators, that's bullshiggity. F out of here with that bullshit, man. For real. So some of his report is accurate, but again, it's the sensationalism of it. It's the, oh my God, there's some real problems inside that building. Really? Oh, really? Where they at? Because it feels like the one problem that was in the building was removed. So where the problems at? I saw two dudes sitting down at a press conference feeling like we gonna get a handle on this shit. And the very next day, they started to get a handle on this shit. I don't know what this offseason is going to look like. I don't know if Dan Quinn's the right man for the job or not. I'm going to ride for him. The man took us to the NFC Championship game in 2024. I'm not going to give up on him after one bad year. I know this for a fact, and I've already told you, he's not an elite coach. And if you think you can do better, then do better. But again, we go back to the general manager. He handpicked Dan Quinn. So he's not punting on his guy after one bad season, after that same guy just took him to the NFC Championship in his first year. So Quinn's not elite, but I've said this already. If you get him elite talent, I think he can be a really solid NFL coach. Do we want better than that for ourselves? Yes, we do. We want an excellent head coach. That's what we want. We want a guy that is revered around the league. If Dan Quinn were fired today, he's not getting 7 teams lining up to interview him for their head coaching vacancy. He might get 7 teams lining him up to be their defensive coordinator, but he's not getting head coaching opportunities. That's what we want. John Harbaugh was relieved of his duties in Baltimore, and his agent said, hey, we had 7 teams reach out. There's 7 vacancies. It makes sense. It tracks. That's a future Hall of Fame head coach, I believe. It tracks. We want better. Well, here's what you're going to have to settle for. Adam Peters going out and getting better groceries so that let him cook. Let him cook. He's got to go out and get better groceries, better ingredients. Papa John's. Let him cook. And then we need Dan Quinn to go out here and serve up crack this offseason. After the chef got in the kitchen and prepared this beautiful meal, he got to go out here and he got to deal that shit. We saw this past year that if the meal ain't prepared in a way that's going to allow Dan Quinn to just go put it on the table, we in trouble. You want to talk about strife? You want to talk about this organization being in some trouble? The only thing that you should be hyper aware of, maybe somewhat skeptical of, or just skeptical, maybe not somewhat. A lot of you are skeptical. Is Dan Quinn the right man for the job? These next 2 hires of offensive and defensive coordinator are going to go a long way in determining what the hell this whole Dan Quinn tenure looks like. Here's what we know. We're fine inside that building. There's no internal strife. We don't have leaks, as the Bleacher Report article tried to perpetuate. We don't have leaks inside of our building. We have leaks. No. We have people that are scorned outside of the building spreading, information. I'll say information because some of it is factual. Here's something else that I find funny. If Adam Peters, because that's what they're insinuating, that Adam Peters was trying to force, which is the disconnect that Diana Rossini was referring to. Adam Peters is trying to force Cliff Kingsbury to play some of the guys, the young guys, which is what we wanted. Don't keep telling me Bill can't do things on non-running downs. I don't want to hear that shit. Put him in the goddamn game. I don't want to hear that Bill can't pass protect. Okay, take him out of the game when you're throwing the football. I don't give a shit. I don't care that we have a tell. I don't care about any of that. We're 4-12. Put Bill in the goddamn game. I don't need to see Jeremy McNichols starting the goddamn game when there's no Chris Rodriguez. I don't want to hear this shit. Put him in the goddamn game. I don't want to hear that, man, we got Zach Ertz in front of Ben. Okay, Zach Ertz is hurt now. Throw Ben Sinnott the ball. No, we throwing John Bates tight end screens. If Adam Peters was so insistent, and again, I don't know what the disconnect was, but if he was so insistent upon the young boys getting opportunities, why is Ben Sinnott not being targeted more then? Is Cliff being spiteful? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, if I'm Cliff and I'm trying to be spiteful, you know how I spit in your face? I throw the tight end screen to John Bates instead of Ben Sinnott. That's petty as hell, right? Instead of me throwing the ball to your little prized second round tight end from the 2024 draft, I'm going to throw it to the fifth round pick from the 2021 draft instead, before you got here. Again, we don't know what the situation was between those guys. We just know it doesn't exist anymore because Cliff is no longer here. So, all of this, a lot of stuff going on came from Cliff's agent. Ain't shit going on in that building but the rent. We got to find us a new offensive line coach, 2 coordinators, and we going to work. What we can say is, and we've been saying this, and we're going to keep saying this because this remains the constant. There's a lot of noise going on right now. There's a lot of shit being thrown around. Here's the one thing that we know is the constant for a fact. This is a massive offseason for Adam Peters and Dan Quinn, and Dan Quinn better get this shit right. That's what we do know. I was talking to somebody, and I told them the fan base is split 50-50 on whether or not getting rid of Cliff was the right move. I told them it was a 50-50 split. I've talked to enough fans, and I have enough data collected that I can tell you from the fans that I've spoken to, it's 50-50. It's right down the middle as to whether they did the right thing or not. There were some fans that were ready to move on from Cliff in season. There's fans, and we talked to them yesterday, and y'all saw them on the stream. They super chatted and said, hey, I think this is the wrong move. I told you I wanted Cliff back. I wasn't opposed to Cliff coming back, but I also said I wasn't opposed to Cliff being moved on from. I wasn't married and tied to Cliff. There was a lot of shit that I didn't like about Cliff in his play calling and the way he went about business. But I was all about continuity, keeping shit together, but that ain't the right answer all the time. Keeping shit together for the sake of continuity ain't always the right answer. Sometimes change is necessary for growth. But here's what I can tell you right now, that there is no split, there is no divide within the fan base on. Dan Quinn, you better be mother effing right with these hires. That's 100%. Ain't no 50, 60, 75, 80, none of that shit. Dan Quinn, your ass better be right about these goddamn hires. Because if you're wrong, you're a pussy. Adam Peters is going to have your ass fired faster than a rat gets. We'll come back on the other side of this quick break and a word from one of our sponsors. And we'll get to the comment section. Hey, we good over here, right? I'm telling y'all, we gonna be all right. Okay, we reloaded.
Sleeper is the best way to experience and connect over sports together. It's a one-stop shop for all of your sports needs, You can celebrate and chat in the games in real time with other users, get the fastest scores, blazing fast news and alerts right at your fingertips. Play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. So enjoy sports the way they were meant to, together. Download the #1 sports app today. Predict the hottest football stats like passing yards, receiving yards, touchdowns, interceptions, and much more to cash in on your daily fantasy football skills. Use promo code LTN and Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. Sleeper. All right, we back. Big shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring this stream. I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. Sleeper is on one right now. They on a tear, bro. If y'all not on Sleeper, let me just tell y'all right now. Sleeper has been giving out 100% bonus, like every day for the last 2.5 weeks. Something is 100% profit boost. Like today, they got 100% college basketball, 100% NBA. Usually Wednesdays is the day where they have the most games on the NBA slate, 12, I think tonight, which is damn near the entire association. So they got 100% for NBA, 100% for college basketball. Hey, look, man, again, I keep telling y'all, you ain't got to do much. You put in a ticket that can net you $150 with 100% profit boost. That's $300. Like, it's doubling your money. So again, if you're not already on Sleeper, go ahead, download the app. The link is in the description of this video. You can use my promo code. I always advise you to use my promo code LTN to get you 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. Shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring this stream. They're killing the game right now. That's all I can tell you. So let's get to the comment section. See what you guys have to say, and we'll get out of here. Won't keep you here longer than I need to. CR7, CR7's the GOAT. Thank you for being a member for 24 months. Shout out to you for your 2-year Annie. We leave in DQ in 2025. Give me Jesse Minter. DQ ain't going nowhere, but that's the type of defensive coordinator I would love to see this team add. Someone like that. Jesse Minter is going to get a head coaching job, I believe, in this league, especially if the Chargers somehow make, a run in the postseason. Feels highly unlikely, but they could beat the Patriots. They could beat the Patriots. Absolutely beat the Patriots. Anybody could come out of the AFC. And I think that's a really good defense. And so Jesse Minter is one of those guys that I think is going to slowly work his way up the food chain in people's minds. And he could be that next defensive guy to kind of shine like Mike McDonald was. Jesse Minter could be that next guy. So, we'll see. I'm going to tell you this. If we move on from DQ next year, if DQ has another rough go of it and and Adam Peters has to go in a different direction, the next guy has to be an offensive-minded guy. We can't keep playing this game. That's part of why we're in the predicament that we're in now, because we got a defensive-minded head coach. Come on, man. What are we doing here? Balls deep, really? Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate it. What are we doing? Y'all be trolling y'all ass off. So we signed Tyler Conklin. He's not going to be here, but it would be that kind of guy, wouldn't it? I mean, if they did do something at tight end, it would be somebody like Tyler Conklin. And I actually like Tyler Conklin, but that's not what we're looking for. That's not what we're looking for here, right? CGM87, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. CGM87 writes, Adam McLuhan and empty slogan DQ. Uh-oh. We combining we combining dudes now. Uh-oh. That's trouble. Might as well interview Joe Barry and Hazlitt too. With these bums they want to interview. Hurry up, Black Monday 27.
Lord, you trying to get guys out here already? You simulating the 2027? Jesus. Lord have mercy, help us all. This man is trying to sim all the way to 2027. Lord have mercy. I can't with y'all. Oh my God. Some of y'all are terrible. Shout out to my guy CGM at 87. He trying to sim the 27th Black Monday. That's crazy. I already look, seriously, all jokes aside for a second. I just want y'all to wrap your brains around the defensive coordinator hire being ho-humish. Like, DQ already told us he's going to be heavily involved in the defense no matter who's calling the plays. So he's going to have influence. He can't hire some young, innovative defensive coordinator and have his hands all over that guy's blueprints. Like, no. He's like, no, Nick. I got this. Back up. This is my defense. DQ already wants to be involved. And if you're going to do that, you got to have a guy that's going to be comfortable with you being in there in the mix. He's got to hire somebody he's comfortable and familiar with. That's what he's going to do defensively. Now, offensively, that might not be the case. We'll see. John Perez, my guy, JP, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Washington possibly going into the 2026 with a coach fighting for his job, a disgruntled QB, and a disgruntled roster is not a recipe for success. JP. So I'll grant you this. Let's just go with the premise that DQ is quote unquote fighting for his job, which I think is a bit of a stretch. I think that's a bit aggressive. Is DQ in a season where the decisions that he made in the offseason need to pan out? Absolutely. I've already given you an instance where it's not the greatest season, but they go 9-8, just missed the playoffs. I don't think DQ is fired. If he's fighting for his job, anything but the postseason means you're fired. I don't see him being in that spot. It just can't be an abject disaster next year. That's all. If it's a disaster, he's fired. But okay, we'll go with your premise. He's fighting for his job. Everyone loves DQ in that building. You really think Jaden is that disgruntled over Cliff not being here? Yeah, he's disappointed. He'll get over it. He'll be all right. Trust me, he'll be fine. A disgruntled roster. Where did that come from, JP? You just pulling shit out of the sky? Where'd you get that one? Who's disgruntled on the roster and why? Like, this is what I'm talking about. When these smear campaign reports and rumors, let's call them rumors. Rumors. Oh no. Let's call these rumors. When they come out, it is ingested by the fan base. And a lot of y'all don't actually shit it out. Get it out of your system. You just leave it in your system and the shit just starts doing all kinds of flips and dances inside of your tummy and it starts to give you heartburn. You got to get that shit out of your system. It's okay to take it in. That shit got to come out the other end though, bro. You can't just let it sit in there and fester because then you start talking about shit like this that don't make no sense, JP. Get it out of there, JP. Get on the pot and get it out of there, bro. None of this shit is actually true. If all of the things you just said were true, then no, that is not a recipe for success. You're right. But none of the stuff I think you said is accurate. Maybe DQ is fighting for his job in 2026. Maybe. Jaden will be fine, and this roster, trust me, is not tied to Cliff Kingsbury. They're not disgruntled. CGM87, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, who writes, if you took names/dates out, someone would think this was a Bruce Allen article. You're not wrong. You are so not wrong. Bring in Hallaby Lynch response from San Francisco. DQ can go be his high school speaker. Look, you're not wrong. If you redacted some of the information, you would just think we were transplanted back into, 2018 or something like that. I get it. But the difference here is there was actually issues in that building. There were actually leaks in that building. We were actually a dysfunctional organization back then. That's not where we are now. Hard to get some of y'all to believe that right now, which is fine. But we're not that. And if you can't see that we're not that, there's nothing I can say to you. If what I've said already and what's already, out there that you can see tangibly, right? None of this innuendo, my sources from a source bullshit. Tangible shit. You can put your hands on, you can see with your own eyes. If there's not enough of that around for you to see that the dysfunction is outside of the building, not in it, then I got nothing for you. There's questions, but like I just said, the entire league has questions. Stands for maybe 12 of the 14 playoff teams. Again, the Bills and the Steelers, I think, could easily fire their head coaches with a loss over the weekend. Everybody else in the league is searching for answers, trying to figure out, how do we get our situation squared away? How do we get our shit straight? We're just one of those teams trying to figure it out. We're no different than the other 20 or so teams in the league searching for answers. CGM87, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. CGM87 writes, how did DB, D-line, wide receiver, and tight end coaches not all shit can too? That could all be coming. Who knows? Like, first of all, DQ, look, you got to listen when they talk. This is why I go over press conferences with you guys, because the most important thing is what's being said by the people that are saying it. These rumors and these tweets by these insiders, that's bullshit. That is the furthest from important, but that's the shit y'all put the most weight on, which is mind-boggling to me. And I'm not talking to you in particular, CGM87. I'm just saying in general. Fans put more stock into some shit from somebody who's not in the building than the actual people who are doing the work. Dan Quinn told you at his press conference on Monday that he loves Bobby Ingram. You really think he's firing Bobby Ingram? Like, he went out of his way to praise guys like Bobby Ingram and Tavita Pritchard. They loved Tavita Pritchard. They loved him. He went out of his way to say, these are two guys that I didn't know prior to getting here, but I wanted them on this staff, and it's been a joy bumping shoulders with them, working, trying to figure this thing out. He ain't firing. You're right. He's not firing Bobby Ingram. Now, D-line, I mean, again, we could be getting into that space of guys that he's comfortable with, because he knows Daryl Tapp. They go way back. We saw that on one of the Commanders log episodes when he first got hired. They go way back. We've heard Daryl Tapp talk many times about his relationship with Dan Quinn, going back to when he was a player and he played for Dan Quinn. Again, DB, I've been trying to push poor Tommy Donatel out of the building for months now. So don't ask me about Tommy Donatel. And David Rye seems like he's a good tight end coach. Seems like he's a good tight end coach. But again, all of those coaches, right? All of those positional coaches can stay with a new offensive coordinator. The thing that has to be different is the offensive line, because again, an offensive coordinator has a specific scheme, and that scheme has to be married and tied to the offensive line. A coordinator could come in and tell the wide receiver coach, I want you to coach it like this, and he can coach it like that. Hey, this is how I want guys to run their routes. It's a timing-based offense. It's not about necessarily snapping it off here. It's about being where you're supposed to be when that quarterback's back foot hits the ground. So this is how I want you to coach it. Any coach can do that. So the offensive line is different because if you are primarily a gap scheme offensive line coach and then a zone run blocking scheme guy comes in here, you can't teach as an offensive line coach zone blocking scheme. That ain't your language. These other positional coaches, they can teach whatever you need them to teach. So I don't think you're going to see wholesale changes with those other positions, if that makes sense. Door Gunner, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Door Gunner writes, frustrated me how Cliff rotated the running backs. Don't get me started on that. I could spend an entire episode bitching and complaining about Cliff's rotation with the backs this year. And then his explanations at the pressers every week. You know, I used to go on like 5 to 7 minute tangents on Cliff talking about how Bill, you know, needed to be better without the ball in his hands. Man, if you don't get the hell out of my face with that bullshit. So how many times did I tell y'all, why is Bill not starting this week? Okay, fine. You want to give C-Rod a chance. C-Rod played well. You want to start him? Cool. I get it. Okay, C-Rod is out with an illness this week. C-Rod is out with a knee this week. Why is J-Max starting? What are we doing? Why are we being petty? Why is Bill still not touching the ball until the second quarter with no C-Rod active? What are we doing? Why? Darnell Kelly, thank you for being a member for 51 months. Celebrate. My guy, DK, writes, yo, I just want to win. Don't we all, Darnell? Don't we all just want to win? I'm in the car. Whatever turns they take, I just want to get to the winning destination. I don't care who they hire except the chipster. I don't want no parts of him. Darnell, I think you speak for 97% of the fan base. 97% of the fan base. When you say, I don't really care how we get to the destination. I just won't get there, bro. There's about 3% of the fan base that cares about how the destination is reached. I'm in the 97% with you. I don't really give a shit what it looks like. I would like it to be sustainable. Like we almost got there in 2024 and clearly the shit was not sustainable. I would like it to be sustainable, but personally, I don't really give a shit. I don't really give a shit. I just want to get there. But the thing is, if you get there with the right people, you have a chance to stick around a lot longer than if you get there with the wrong people. But I'm like you. I just want to win, bro. All this other shit is for the birds. I just want to win, bro. I hate losing because this is what happens when you lose. This is the byproduct of losing. Rumors, innuendo, finger pointing, backstabbing, fans crashing out. This is what losing brings about. According to Cliff's agent, all of this shit was happening in 2024, but guess what winning does? Man, that is a fresh-ass smelling deodorant. Just put it all over that shit. Everything was all good just a year ago. Now, all of a sudden, this same thing was happening in 2024 as well. Okay, guy. Sure. You don't got to worry about the chipster being here. Okay. He couldn't cut it in Vegas. He's done in the NFL, if you ask me. He's a college guy. I think he tried to prove to himself that he could cut it in the NFL because he could have just stayed at Ohio State. He didn't need to leave. He had a great job. He wanted to prove because he failed in the NFL his first 2 times as a head coach. He wanted to prove that he could cut it in the NFL. And what has been proven is that he can't cut it in the NFL. That was his ego. Mr. HTTR, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, GM Louie T, let's play a game. All right. Set it up. Set up the game. He says, give me your defensive hires, free agents, and draft picks that would have you talking shit about our defense next year. I can't give you that right now because I haven't done the work. I haven't done enough of it. That's what I was supposed to be working on right now, but all of this shit happened, right? Like the defensive players, I could give you that right now because I've done the work. I can't tell you who the defensive hires would be. I can't tell you who the draft picks because I haven't done the work yet. But I have done this much work. I've looked at some of the guys that are going to be available. And again, we don't know if they're going to be available or not because, as we know, all of this is fluid. There's the franchise tag. There's teams working out long-term deals. Like a guy like, for instance, Kayvon Chason is on my list. Well, he just had a career year in New England. I would assume that New England would love to have him back. If he goes out and balls in the postseason, he might get an extension before we even get to the offseason from the New England Patriots, right? So there's a lot of moving parts. And there are guys that we don't think are going to be free agents right now that could become cap casualties for their teams and end up being available this offseason. So it's all fluid, but safety, I like Brian Cook from the Kansas City Chiefs. I think he's a really good football player. Jaquan Brisker from the Bears. I don't think the Bears are going to let him out of that building, but that's another guy that is very interesting. Kingsley Enagbare in Green Bay is very intriguing to me. He's like a better, more physically imposing, younger Jacob Martin. Literally, if you go see him, you're like, oh shit, that's Jacob Martin, just bigger, younger, right? I don't think Green Bay is going to let him out of their building. I just brought up Kayvon Chason coming off of a career year. I don't know if I'm necessarily in love with him, but his game, or rather his game, but I wouldn't mind him being brought in here. Defensive tackle, Devontae Wyatt, then he shredded his knee, and now I'm like, hey, shit. But Green Bay was probably going to re-sign him anyway. It'll be interesting to see what happens because he just had the major injury. Linebackers, Quay Walker in Green Bay. Leo Chenal in Kansas City. Devin Lloyd, he's a little bit older for me. He's 28. I'm not interested in a 28-year-old linebacker. But Quay Walker and Leo Chenal are two guys that I am definitely intrigued by. And then cornerback. I've already talked about Tariq Woolen is the number one guy on my list. I'm a big Amik Robertson fan as well. Josh Jobe is another guy. He's a little bit older, though. Cordell Flott in New York with the Giants. I like him. I don't see why the Giants wouldn't bring him back. Those are among some of the names that would get me excited if we brought those guys in here. There'll be others, of course, because as I mentioned, there are guys that are currently not free agents that will become free agents because of cap situations around the league. So I can tell you this. There's going to be a lot of discussion as to how to fix this team. But, before we could talk about what guys we should go get, you got to go get a coordinator first because certain coordinators have schemes and then certain players fit in that scheme. If you bring a zone-based coordinator in here, then you don't need to go get a man cover corner. You see what I'm saying? And so we did that before. We had a zone-based corner or a zone-based coordinator in Jack Del Rio, and they went and got a man cover corner in William Jackson III. And we saw how that shit worked out for us. Vice versa, we brought in Josh Norman, who is a zone cover corner, and we asked him to play man coverage because we were bozos. So you got to understand who your coach is, what personnel fits what he's going to try to come in here and do. And so I would tell you, you can't really start putting together an actual list of guys that are going to be able to help turn this defense around until you figure out who the hell your defensive coordinator is. Frankie, been a member for 44 months. Salute. Who writes, hey, it's my Riggins mob month. Let's go. Shout out to you, man. 44. Throw them fours up, man. Shout out to you, man. Really, truly do appreciate you, Frankie. Ethan Dykes. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, my guy. Writes, the more I think about this, the more I dislike it. It's messy and unnecessary. I hate hearing things like we got to run the ball more. We did, Ron-esque. So I get where you're coming from, Ethan. I understand that portion of it, right? Like, this is messy and unnecessary. I hate it. But this isn't coming from the team. Keep that in mind. Like, if the team had done something to facilitate this, I would have been right there with you. I hate the messy nature of this because of what, like, the fans always get caught in the crossfire of shit like this, right? Like the Terry situation with AP, like, that was messy and that was caused by the organization. They had a hand in that. Terry and his camp had the other hand in it, right? They both had hands in that shit getting nasty, messy, where nobody wins, and the fans always get caught in the crossfire. This situation, all they did was they made a move that they thought was in the best interest of their organization. That's all they did. They even went out of their way to say that it was amicably done, that this split was mutual, that Cliff is looking to pursue other opportunities. Like, they didn't put the narrative. They could have just said, "Now we fired his ass." They wanted to be messy. If they wanted to be on some Prince of Darkness, Bruce Allen bullshit, because Bruce wouldn't have let him leave in an amicable manner. Bruce would have did the shit they did to Scott McCloughan. He a drunk. He coming to work lit every day. We want our money back. That's the low shit that we used to do. They could have did that to Cliff and said, nah, Cliff won't shit. He wasn't doing a good job here. They could have did, but they didn't do any of that. They weren't being messy. Cliff's representation is being messy. It's okay for them to want to run the ball more. They're not saying that, again, I don't want them to treat Jaden like a Ford Focus. He's a Maserati. I don't think they're looking to treat him like a Ford Focus. They're gonna utilize him. They just want to utilize him in a different way. They have a different vision for what can maximize Jaden Daniels as an NFL quarterback. That's okay too. That's okay. They better be right. But it's okay to say, I think we made a mistake. I always tell y'all this. The first step on the road to recovery is admitting that there's a problem. Without that, you can't get the proper help that you need because you don't think you need help if you haven't admitted that there's a problem. If the Commanders want to fix what went wrong last year and going 5-12, yeah, we had injuries, obviously, but that wasn't the only issue here. We got shut out by the Vikings. We got shut out. Cliff decided to run it or throw it, 3 straight times down by the goal line. We scored 7 points against the Chiefs. Newsflash, the Chiefs weren't good this season. The Chiefs weren't good this year. We had a 2nd and 2 that turned into a 3rd and 1 that turned into a 4th and 1. And he threw it 4 straight times. The first down play was like a bootleg to the tight end, or it was a screen to Debo, whatever. It was like an 8-yard gain. The second down play was a no gain to Zach Ertz. Third down was a 1-yard wide receiver screen to Debo. And then fourth down, you threw a 30-yard pass to nobody. Are you upset that they want to run the ball in that situation at least once, twice, maybe? I'm not. Because I feel like they should run the ball in those situations. You should be able to get it. It's okay. 2nd and 1, 2nd and 2, best down in football. You can do whatever the hell you want to do because you can always come back and get it on 3rd down. And hell, in that particular instance, even 4th down if need be. But we don't even have a play action fake game to take advantage of 2nd and 1, 2nd and 2, where it looks like we're going to run it. Oh, shit, it's a fake. And now you can go over the top. We can't even do that in Cliff's offense. His offense isn't set up to do that. It's not set up to take advantage of those types of opportunities under center. Like, think about it from this perspective. When you see play action fake out of the gun, does that shit move you? Did you, oh shit, I thought it was a run. Oh shit, they got me. You've never said that to yourself on a gun play action, a gun fake run. You've never said that. They always look like, because it's so obvious that it's not a run. You've seen under center fakes where the quarterback had some sleight of hand, beautiful, mastery of, hey, you think it's a ball? I got the shit down by my side. Now, linebacker sees empty hand of quarterback. He think, oh shit, he didn't hand the bitch off to the running back. And the quarterback, we saw JJ McCarthy with a beautiful sleight of hand against Dallas on a Sunday night. Whole team, and he grittying into the end zone. You can't do that shit out of gun, bro. Jaden can be so nasty at something like that, down by the goal line. You add so many elements into short yardage and different things and taking shots down the field if you get under center, which is why a lot of people advocated for Cliff to go. I said, Cliff, you ain't got to go under center 15, 20% of the time. I'm just talking about 7% of the time you under center. Do you know what difference that would make? Louis Riddick was doing a game this past week, and he said, I don't understand how every offense doesn't have some form of under center bootleg action where you just have a guy sifting across the formation. Usually it's a tight end, could be a running back, fullback, receiver, whoever, right? The Bengals do it with Jamar Chase, where Chase comes in short motion. They fake the ball. Chase comes out the other side. Joe Burrow just throws him a quick pass, and it's a 12-yard gain to Jamar Chase. Most teams use the tight end or the fullback. Some teams use, the Cowboys use CeeDee Lamb with it sometimes, right? Wouldn't it be nice to get Terry that? Same easy little shit, bro. Short motion, under center, you fake it to the running back. Jaden boots out to his right. Terry comes all the way sifting across the formation, wide open in the flats. And that's an easy completion to Terry that we don't give him. You want to know why Terry don't end up with 96 catches for 1,500? And because we don't do easy, simple shit like that. The last 3 coordinators refused to get under center. Scott Turner was a gun guy. Eric Bieniemy was a gun guy. And so was Cliff. The last time we had a real potent offense was Jay Gruden when we got our ass under center. Now, again, Jay Gruden ain't had no run game. So even he didn't maximize the play action opportunities because he didn't have a run game. He just ran that bullshit ass duo. There was no play action fake off of duo. So I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, E. But at the same time, I can respect them wanting to just do a little bit more for Jaden. It's okay to want to do more for Jaden. And that might include running the ball a little bit more. This is not Ron. I can tell you that. This is not Ron. This ain't that. Ethan Dykes. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. My guy. Writes, Cliff was effective and a great fit with Jaden. His development is now stunned And you now got disgruntled players. See, this is what I'm talking about. Also, keep Daboll the F away from us. He's a hothead and a weirdo. Blue tent peeper. Daboll, the head coach, was that. Daboll, the offensive coordinator, not so much. Like, when Daboll was in Buffalo, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong about this. I think I recollected him being in the press box. I don't even think when he's a coordinator, he's down on the sidelines. But he's not a hothead when he's a coordinator. You don't get to be a hothead when you're a coordinator. I mean, you can. I mean, I've seen Tom Brady get into it with coordinators. But yeah, I don't think that's what Daboll would be as an offensive coordinator, but we'll see. Again, this whole disgruntled player, see, this is that shit. Don't let Mr. Starbucks influence you to think that the locker room is going to all of a sudden be a mutiny against Dan Quinn. Like, that's not what this is. That's not what this is. These players understand that this is a business. And while they might not love the fact that Cliff was let go, they could like Cliff. You know, people like people that get fired all the time. You work at your job and they just got rid of Paula yesterday. Oh, shit, Paula? The one that been here forever? I liked Paula. Well, they had to make a business decision. Paula's no longer with us. It happens every day. People get fired every day, B. They'll be okay. Trust me. They got teammates that are in the locker room that they love, turned into their best friends. They're not on the team no more. This ain't no different than that. The NFL is about constant change and how you handle it. I'm not worried about these players at all. You shouldn't be either. Don't let Jordan Schultz, a.k.a. Mr. Starbucks, influence you into thinking that there's about to be a mutiny against Dan Quinn. Come on, man. They love DQ in that locker room. Cliff was effective with Jaden, but we don't know if he was right for Jaden's development. Clearly, they don't think he was. It's okay to want better. Cliff might have been okay for Jaden's development, but it's okay to want better. It's okay to want better. Every day that I wake up, I want better for my family. I'm doing okay. I want better. It's okay to want better. I assume you are the same way that I am. You wake up every day trying to be the best version of yourself and being better today than you were the day before. You were really good yesterday. It's okay to want to be better today. You should want to be better today. We should want them to want the best for Jaden, not okay for Jaden. Again, it may turn out that they made a mistake. But the thing that I feel like is the worst is not trying. I can live with a mistake being made because you went for it and you tried. What I can't live with is that you just said, nah, we're good. This isn't broken, so let's not try and fix it. If you're thriving, then you say, hey, it's not broke, don't fix it. We're not thriving. We went 5-12. We got shut out in a game this season. We scored 7 or less points in multiple games this year. We're not thriving. I don't give a shit who the quarterback is, how many dudes are injured. It's never okay to get shut out or score just 7 points in an NFL game. I don't give a shit who you're playing, what's going on. You should never score less than double digits in an NFL game. I ain't trying to hear it. Ethan Dykes, my guy, been a member for 16 months, who writes, also, Jeff Ulbrich greater than Raheem Morris. I'm not necessarily disagreeing with it. Neither one of them gets me excited. But Ulbrich is probably more of a legitimate defensive coordinator than Raheem Morris is. I will grant you that. Smacky, Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, the guy we left on the draft board is an MVP candidate. When you draft the wrong guy, coaches get fired. We got the wrong guy. Base for Zion. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. So glad he gone. Now we can get a real football brainiac with a smash mouth philosophy. You've been pushing this shit. You've been pushing. Hey, Smash Mouth is dead, base for Zion. I hate to be the one to break the news to you. Hey, you living in this 1980s bubble, and I hate to be the one to boop, burst it. But Smash Mouth football is dead. I'm trying to let you down gently. There are elements, there we go, that's the word I was looking for, elements of Smash Mouth football, and there are times when that type of play is necessary for victory. The Ravens play Smash Mouth football, and they have played Smash Mouth football down the stretch of this season. Where are the Ravens at right now? Derrick Henry just had a game where he rushed for over 200 yards and 4 touchdowns in a bitterly cold game in Green Bay. That's Smash Mouth football. Yeah, they won that game. That was beautiful. Where are the Baltimore Ravens at right now? You got to be able to throw the football, man. I hate to break it to you. Smash Mouth football will always be a part of, should be in your bag. That should be a part of what you are capable of doing. But because you need to be able to run it on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. You need to be able to say, hey, we running it here, and be able to put somebody's dick in the dirt. So you need to have Smash Mouth ability in your bag. But if that's the only trick you got, you in trouble. He said, it's ugly and violent, but it always wins. Not always. It wins. Not always. Keeps QBs healthier and wears down defenses. I called this after the Chicago game. You did say that he should have been under center, and I think that was the beginning of the end for a lot of people who didn't believe in Cliff Kingsbury, that Chicago game. So I hear you, base for Zion. I hear you loud and clear. You got your wish. Now let's see what they do with it. Sweetie T, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, I like Jaden. He keeps getting hurt, ? He is like that movie where the guy is fragile and keeps breaking. What's the fix? How do we help him? So that's a false narrative. He keeps getting hurt. Jaden Daniels I can't tell you how far back Jaden Daniels has been playing football. I would imagine he's been playing since he was a young kid. We've seen pictures of him, in Little League playing football. Jaden Daniels, at no point playing Little League, at no point in high school, at no point in college has he ever been seriously injured. This is the first time in his career that he has gotten injured like this. And again, I would argue and I would counter that he's extremely flexible. Look around the NFL. Guys get hurt all the time. It's a violent and physical sport. Justin Herbert is 6'5", 235, and he broke his hand. Like, Aaron Rodgers also hurt his hand and missed games this season. Quarterbacks, Kyler Murray hasn't played since October. Quarterbacks get hurt all the time. All the time. Ours isn't the only one. Lamar Jackson has missed a bunch of games this season. Shit happens. I don't like this narrative that people are trying to perpetuate that he's always injured. Give me a break. He played in 20 games last year. 20. He's batting 500 right now in terms of complete seasons played in. He's batting 500. Come talk to me when it dips below 33%. Come talk to me. When it dips, matter of fact, come talk to me when it dips below 500. Come talk to me then. If it gets to the point where it's below 500, all right, we can have a real conversation. Shadow Striker, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Shadow Striker 789 writes, oh, AP, you want to go under center and run the ball more. Maybe we get an RB1. I'm with it. You want to run it a little bit more? You want to help out Jaden? I can see a fast track to doing that. One signing could change everything. Each running back we have makes us one-dimensional in some way. No true tight end one. Firing Cliff Kingsbury after 17 debacle and these handless receivers you picked. He's got a lot of work to do this offseason. He acknowledged the mistake he made with the 17 situation. He acknowledged that. Like, yeah, I effed up. I could have been better. So, and I love that he took ownership of that. Like, both sides did, their part to F that situation up, but I know what I did and I got to be better, right? The no true tight end one. We had one. I mean, he wasn't dynamic, but he was reliable. We'll see what happens this offseason. I keep saying I sound like a broken record, but this is a big offseason for Dan Quinn and Adam Peters. Huge offseason. So we'll see what happens. We will see. You want to turn this thing around? You can turn it around very quickly if you go out. New England just did it last offseason. You go out, you spend money, and again, I can't stress this enough. You spend money on the right guys that give you a return on investment. You draft properly, and this could turn around very quickly because you got 5. You got 5. So you already got a foundation from which to start. You got an offensive line. You have an offensive line. You've got a foundation from which to start. Those are 2 key components and ingredients. You got them. Now you just got to fill out the rest of the roster. You got a number 1 wide receiver. You could use another receiver. And another receiver, possibly. Just fill in all the gaps the best you can. You got the resources, no excuses. Go make some shit shake. And I ain't talking ass. Ethan Dykes, my guy, writes, situationally for runs, yeah, Lou, Cliff needs to fix that. But this whole we got to run more irks me, and it feels old Cliff's spread game made JD comfortable. It did make him comfortable, and I would agree that that was okay when Jaden first got in the league. You wanted him to feel as comfortable as possible making the transition from college to the NFL, and that spread offense was akin to what he did in college. Cool. Now you a big boy. You in the pros now. This is year 3. Now we got to start feeding you some pro game concepts. Some shit that is proven it works in the NFL. That spread game shit, nobody's won with that in the NFL. Nobody's won with that. Until somebody comes in here with that spread game shit and has true success, you can't convince me that it works. What we do know works is pro-style offense. Because the team that wins the Super Bowl every year is playing a pro-style offense for the most part. So that's why they want to go to something more traditional. Jaden can handle that. He's been in the league long enough now. He can handle that. He's a big boy. Ethan Dykes, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Hey, right. We'll see, Lou. I'm ride or die unless it's Daboll. LOL. I hear you. We'll see if Daboll somehow infiltrates the walls out in Ashburn. But hey, there's only one way to find out if any of this is going to work. Let's just get in the car and ride, bro. If they crash It ain't the first time we've been in a wreck. As crazy as that sounds. It won't be the first time. Might not be the last time we've been in a wreck with this team. Well, let's just get in the car and ride and see what happens. Frankie, yo. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Frankie, yo, writes, thank you for being a member of the MOBB. People focusing on replacing coaches, but my concern is DQ working with a broken compass. We ain't finding the North right now. Get my man a new one. That's a great line by you. DQ working with a broken compass. That's classic right there. We have to recalibrate. You know, this offseason is huge. Getting rid of Cliff was a bold move, as John Kahn put it. That's a bold move. Maybe that was him locating his new compass, was getting rid of Cliff, getting rid of Joe Witt Jr., removing O-line Bobby Johnson from the equation and kind of starting anew. Maybe that is him recalibrating, centering, finding his north. We'll see. Or he could just flat out be lost, wandering aimlessly through the doldrums of the NFC East and the conference as a whole. Maybe he is lost. As I just said with the last super chat, only one way to find out. Only one way to find out. I got a feeling that Adam Peters is going to do a really good job this offseason, and it's going to remove any excuse for Dan Quinn, which is why this is a big offseason for all parties involved. If he ain't found the compass, a new compass, one that works, he better find it fast. Because if we're moving in the wrong direction again this year, it'll be his last. Tribal Warfare. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Trump of the NFL, false narratives and discontent. Well, they got jobs to do. These reporters do. They don't really care about, I won't say they don't care about the accuracy of their reports, because you have to have some level of accuracy in order to have credibility. So they do care about the accuracy of their reports. Here's where some of these, because they're not talking heads. Talking heads can say whatever the hell they want. They're not reporting. There's no journalistic integrity. If you're a journalist, then there needs to be some sort of validity to it, because if it's not, we just going to dismiss you. We're going to treat you like those National Enquirer magazines that rate by checkout. So, like I told you, there's enough truth in the statement he put out on X. There's enough truth in there that you can't just say that he's lying and dismiss it totally. There's enough truth in there. But there's the sensationalism of it. It's making it feel like, oh my God, the sky is falling. There is a real fire in that building, and unless somebody puts it out, it could bring the whole organization crumbling to its core. That's how he phrased the shit, and that's not true. And that's the problem. There's some truth in there, but there's just enough of it so you can't call me a liar, but then there's a lot of sensationalism that heightens the article, that makes it a bit salacious and makes people want to click. And that's their job, to get you to click. Enough truth so that you can't call me a liar, but enough juiciness that you want to click. I hate it. But that's how it's got to be. That's how it's got to be. So, it is what it is. Base for Zion. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, great offenses only see yards ahead of the line of scrimmage as real estate. less shotgun, etc., because it's about downhill. Pro style is smash mouth, bro. Joe Gibbs type. One with 3 quarterbacks, run-based offense. Different time, base for Zion. Different time, bro. Different time. Joe Gibbs came back 2.0 with that same offense, and the shit did not work, which is why he went out and hired. And it would have been interesting to see if he would have given it another year instead of going out and hiring Al Saunders. I think he gave up on it too quickly, but it wasn't like we were struggling on offense with Gibbs when he came back with that counter Trey shit the second time with Clem Portis and Brunell, and we were struggling. Okay. Yards were hard to come by, points were hard to come by. But if he had given it another year, it might have evolved into something. He might have been able to build off of, okay, I see how things have evolved a little bit, and here's the tweaks I can make. But that time is come and gone. Marty Schottenheimer, type football, right? Marty ball, that shit is dead, bro. Bucks ball with John, that shit is dead. Gruden, he was solid, but that shit wasn't beating nobody. That shit he was doing with Derek Carr, that Bucks ball approach and mentality, that shit is dead base for Zion. Again, I hate to be the one to bring it to you, but it's a passing league now. You do need to be able to run the football. Yes, you do. But that is not the main source of how you are successful in this league in the NFL. If it were, then everybody could just have a Jalen Hurts type at quarterback and win and be successful. Because all you would have to do is go get a Saquon Barkley at running back. You want to know why you don't see the #1 pick in the draft be a running back anymore? Because it's not the most important thing anymore. You came from an era where the running back was the most important thing. So you would see running backs be the #1 overall pick, because if you could run the ball, you could win. That's not how it works anymore. We haven't seen a #1 overall pick be the running back since the 90s, and you won't ever again see a running back go 1, because it's not the most important thing anymore, base. Again, I hate to be the one to burst your bubble. I'll just tell you this. It's still important to be able to run the football. That will never, ever change. That will never die. If you can't run the football, you're going to struggle in this league. But it's not the most important thing. All right. I digress. That was the last super chat. So we're going to get out of here, allow you guys to get on with your day. I do have Candy Waller joining me tonight. She's got a lot to say. Me and her have been texting back and forth today. She's got a ton to say tonight because it's a lot going on right now in these streets. Y'all really need to tune in tonight. Candy's going to drop some gems on your melon tonight. It's going to be a tremendous show. She's got a lot to say. She's been seeing all of this shit that's going on. And I told y'all yesterday, I said, Candy tried to warn y'all. She told y'all about both coordinators. She told you about Joe Witt after the Atlanta game. And she kept going back to the Atlanta game and saying, Joe Witt ain't it. And she told us. And then she told us after the Minnesota game. And I told y'all this yesterday. I said, Candy tried to warn us. Cliff was not safe. And none of y'all were listening, though. Not none of y'all. Some of y'all was listening. I didn't think Cliff was going anywhere. She tried to warn us. She gave us every single SOS. Every single smoke screen. She shot flares in the air, telling y'all, Cliff ain't it. We won't listen. Well, I'm going to give her a victory lap tonight. Because she was right about everything. She was right about everything. So Candy's going to be joining us tonight for a Seawall Wednesday. Hopefully you'll be joining us as well. If not, I will see you guys I'm assuming tomorrow, with the way shit's been going, I'm assuming I'll see you tomorrow. But hopefully, I'm gonna see you tomorrow regardless, because the Kings are live tomorrow night. So I'll see you tomorrow anyway. I digress. You guys have a good one. Take care. God bless. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I'm going to just let y'all know. And I've said this already this offseason. I'm going to say it again. It's going to probably be my rallying cry this week. Going to be all right. Don't let them get you, because they'll get you if you let them get you. We going to be all right.